Well, James, welcome into the Raw, mate. Tell me about the feeling in the camp. I mean, it's the biggest day of the year to start the season off, and you layer in Stag Day against Otago. How good?
Yeah, it's pretty exciting, to be honest. We've always had this game, obviously, in the back of our mind months ago, as coaches, as management. But players, the last few weeks have been pretty fizzed. So, they're pretty pumped. Yeah, so exciting. Excitement is in the camp, very much so.
So is it just another game, like the old cliche, or because it's Otago, do you as a management team take it up a level?
It's just another game for us as management. Well, that's how we're approaching it this year. We probably got a bit heated last year when we look back at it, when we reflect, around building this up, and I think we're just taking it as another game. We'll let the players build it up the way they want it.
So you're just talking about yourself personally there? Because I know how fired up you get about this game,
I was very much at the forefront of that. So, I've had to sort of take a little bit of a back seat with regards to the excitement levels. But, with Sean being involved, a few old heads in the team like Morgie and Josh, they're definitely bringing enough fizz. Yeah.
Because I'd imagine you just want to get on to this game, because I sort of look back to it and, and especially when you're writing stories about it, you feel like it goes forever to the build-up about putting a squad together. Like, I mean, that process is almost longer than the season, isn't it? Trying to work out what players you got available, then assessing guys from gaps that you need to fill. I mean, how long is that, and how arduous, I suppose, is that process for building a squad?
For me, being in management now, it goes back to literally the year prior, probably. Like, we're looking at players to potentially be a part of the season ahead. During that season, like, we're looking at who's coming off contracts and who we're really after. We're looking at our positions, guys potentially leaving, who we need to fill spots. It's well in advance. It's not anything we take lightly. So, it's something that we like to look very much ahead. Like, panel right now wants to know what's happening in a couple of years' time. So, it's a big process, but it's pretty cool.
Do you feel like every year this game sort of seems to get another layer to it? Not so much the game, but I guess everything around it, like, it's developed its own sort of culture, hasn't it, Stag Day?
Like, when I was playing, it wasn't called Stag Day. Yeah. There was nothing like it, but it was always a massive occasion because you're playing your neighbours who always think they were the big bro. We're the little guys that potentially could challenge. But now she's its own big beast, especially down here for us and our fans. So, having it on a Saturday afternoon is fantastic. I look forward to seeing our terrace at 2:05 p.m. Even actually, sort of getting out there before the game. Seeing what that crowd looks like, building into it's going to be great.
And you've been obviously on both sides of it. You've been in the coaching box, you've been out on the field. When you get a crowd like that, a home crowd, what does that do?
This gives you another person on the field, to be honest, as a player. And I feel that energy as a coach being in the box still. And I still feel like it definitely helps us a lot. Like playing last year at Forsyth, it was unbelievable. It was like you've literally it feels like you've got the whole of Southland here with us. So it gives you that extra person on a field. So I hope that happens again and we use it to our advantage and we do the job.
Because you obviously played Otago in the pre-season game, and then I understand some of you might have whipped across and watched the second half up in Christchurch after the Tasman game.
Rumours.
but anyway, I mean, what have you got feel like you got a good read on what Otago will bring this weekend?
Yeah, we think so. Like, we can only do what we can, I suppose. Like, it's just like any other week. We'd watch a team prior to us playing them, and we had the opportunity to go down and watch them live. So. We managed to catch the second half, but we got the footage for the whole game, so we could have just waited another 24 hours and it would have been ours. But we got to go down there, and Sass got to see us walk back up to the coach's box and say hello and all that. But I think we're well and truly prepared for this week one with who we've got playing. So it's excitement. It's great. The boys are bringing some good energy this week, and it's great to see.
So tell us what your assessment is of where you're at leading into week one, and has the pre-season done its job from your guys' perspective?
I think so. Talking on pre-season, we got a couple of two good games that gave us two different pictures, especially for me around my attack. Otago's defence was definitely different to Tasman's. So boys got some good learnings from both those games. We expected a bit more physicality from Otago. They'll definitely bring that this week. But we got physicality against Tasman. They're big and they're strong and they're fast. They had some great experience out there too, obviously. So yeah, like I said, the boys learnt a lot. I learnt a lot from the game.
Because obviously you mentioned, you've got the attack coach role there, and I didn't obviously see the game, but talking to people, there was a fair bit of defending going on in that game in 22. So how much video did you have to review in the attack side of it?
I grabbed a lot out of it, to be fair, especially against how they pressure our attack, their line speed. But yeah, the first 20 minutes was just defence. So okay, then why do we defend so much? Because our exits were poor. Okay, and that's me. That's what I need to look at. So there's plenty to get out of it from both sides for sure. And it gave us some learnings which we'll put into play this weekend.
It wasn't until I saw it on the news that I remembered that Tasman actually have an all black backline. They were just all over the place.
Having to roll it out that day.
Oh, it was unbelievable. So it was great for some of our new guys, like Charlie Powell, first time he played against probably one of the best wingers that will be playing this year, Big Jim on the edge, and Will Jordan, who probably won't be playing at all, but one of the best attacking outside backs in the country. So yeah, like I said, some of those guys got a great test and yeah, a great opportunity to prove themselves.
In terms of that first up game against Otago, I mean, bottle that first half up, right? I mean, that was the way to start a pre-season. It must have given the boys some confidence, both in terms of this phases you're able to string together, the continuity that was there, and I think the real striking thing for me watching it was some of the ball playing at the line too. You know, particularly from the two blokes that you're likely to pick from a 10 point of view. It's a different looking. There's potential there for it to be a different looking Stags backline than recent years. Would that be fair?
Yeah, I was pretty impressed with their intent. Firstly, their intent to carry direct.
Yep.
Our intent to clean and get rid of bodies to produce fast ball. And yeah, it's not often we tie Southland with ball speed, but those things are, helping us with our attack. And then 10s are obviously getting really good ball to play on top of. So yeah, and they're taking it to the line, which, looking at our 10s, that's some of their strengths. Okay, is playing on top, using that ball speed to our advantage. Our backs want to play. They want ball to play with, and forwards are giving them that. Well, they showed that in that first 40, definitely. Yeah.
What have you, personally, you've been involved now, that transition from a player to a coach, now a few years into that sort of transition. How much have you learnt in the past sort of few years in that environment?
Plenty. Yeah, the first year was very much a learning curve for me. My intention is to come back to Invercargill for personal reasons, and got the opportunity from Dale when he was here as head coach to help out around our attack with Jason at the obviously there. Jace then obviously wanted to leave, and I got the opportunity to take over. So I learned plenty because it was my first real go at coaching, other than helping out academy teams in the past when I was away playing in Japan and in the UK. I was doing my coaching papers in Northampton when I was playing, so it was a number of years ago now, but Todd Blackadder when I was at Bath really pushed me to get into that space. So I definitely use his knowledge as a mentor, and also with Greg Cooper when I was at Mitsubishi. So I definitely use him now, and we've got a bit of a connection now because he's with Utah in the MLR, and we've got 4 players there in our squad that are also in the Utah squad. So yeah, use him as well. So yeah, but very much thrust into that at the time. So that first year was a lot of learning, but got plenty out of it. Dale was very helpful. But the players also, the group of players, I played with quite a number of them in 2018, so they definitely helped as well. And I've just grown from there. Learned a lot over the last probably 12 months, to be fair. It was quite a difficult 12 months for me personally. But then did some PD overseas, got out of New Zealand for a bit, went back to Northampton for 6 weeks. I was out there for a number of weeks also with Bath, and both those teams actually played the Premiership final this year. So I spent some time in camp there, which was fantastic. It was unbelievable. 1, to get back to my old clubs, but 2, to learn from the coaching teams that are there. Very different, but learned plenty from Phil Dowson at Northampton's DOR and Johan van Graan at Bath. Yeah, very different, but both equally successful in their own right. And then when we got back, myself and Matt Saunders went to, we have a relationship with Toyota Verblitz, obviously, and we managed to get out there for a week and a half with Steve Hansen Ben Herring and his team. So it was great learning from them. Like Steve's very simple is the best way forward. He's almost, you'd say he's the GOAT really in the coaching space, and just listening to him and his thoughts. And we've just taken bits and pieces and brought it back. What we can do, especially with our resources and our group, what's best for our group, what's best for us. So yeah, we're trying to put that all in place and looking to obviously have a successful season.
Is that a bit
Some
intimidating?
decent names there, isn't there?
Just
I did drop
that-
a few names.
Yeah, good.
I mean, how intimidating is it sitting across from a coffee table from Sir Steve Hansen and picking his brain about coaching?
Oh, he's very welcoming, and he makes it easy. They all have. I've got personal relationships over, obviously, in the UK, so that's real easy. But with Steve, it was my first time meeting him, but he made it very easy. He just made it like, this is your space. It's ours, but it's your space too. So, yeah, ask what you want. Anyone. You've got time with everyone. So, yeah, take as much in.
We've obviously had a couple of English players come out in the last couple of years. Gabriel Hammer-Webb last year and Charlie Powell this year.
Yep.
How much of that has been your connections with England?
Yeah, well, Gabe, I'm very good friends with his agent. So we got Gabe across speaking with his agent, and he needed an opportunity and we needed someone to fill that space. And the same with Charlie's. Actually, I was in Bath at the time, and Charlie's agent has a connection with my good friend who looks after the RPA side of Bath and Bristol, and we were just talking, and he was asking me, well, what are you guys looking to need around cover, around positions? And I said a utility back. I love utility backs. Obviously, I was one myself, and the opportunity to play different positions. We need that with our depth. Okay, we need someone who can fill different positions around the park. And he mentioned Charlie. And obviously Charlie was at Bristol, has been his whole career. So there's a connection there, obviously, with Pat Lam in New Zealand, and being so close to Bath, and the relationship I have with his RPA agent. So yeah, it all developed from my time in February, and then got him across, and he's loving it. His wife, his partner, is over as well, working with Rugby Southland, part of the social media group. So yeah, it's great, and he's a great man. Yeah, great to have on board. He's really fitted in really nicely, as did Gabe. So yeah, really positive.
Things are a little bit unsettled with English rugby and sort of the financial situation at the moment, probably from when you were over there playing.
Definitely. So my time in Feb, I got to know a bit more about that, got a little bit more in depth around that. Those squad players that they once, like myself when I went over, those guys that filled in time when internationals were away, you know, they can't really afford those type of players now, those guys that are in there. So they're relying a lot more on the younger group, and also looking after the guys that are obviously their international players. So there are offering more opportunities, but the squads are definitely smaller. And as you're seeing now, like UK guys are coming over here. There's a guy will be playing next week against Hawke's Bay. He was at Bristol too with Charlie. There's a lot more in Japan now. There's some coming over for Super Rugby. So yeah, a lot of rugby players are spreading out. Obviously a couple of less teams now than when I was playing in the Premiership. So yeah, it's interesting stuff. It's those clubs that are well supported with owners that do have big wallets, they're okay. But the ones that are that aren't, they are struggling. It's interesting.
Those connections that you're able to leverage, you know, obviously so important, which is awesome. There must be. Is there an element of frustration that comes with that too, when you have a look at kind of how some of these well-resourced organisations are, thinking about what you could bring back to if you had the open checkbook at Rugby Southland HQ?
Yeah, I walked into Northampton. They've got a big indoor field, you know, a big indoor complex now, and that wasn't around.
That'd be handy in Invercargill.
Yeah, that would be fantastic down here. Even just a pitch that's all weather would be fantastic down here. It seems it's like it should be a non-negotiable, but it is just fun. It's the resources, right? I remember us shoveling snow off that field actually in Northampton, and now they've got a big indoor complex. It's fantastic. Right. But that's just reality. That's just the way it is, right? You know, even Super Rugby teams realistically can't. They don't have the budgets that Premiership teams have. So it is the way it is. Yeah, but we seem to still bat above our weight, which is great. So yeah, it's frustrating to a degree, but you get over it. I was born and bred here, so it's easy for me. Yeah. For guys that maybe come over here, they will definitely see it as a frustration potentially. But the ones we've had, luckily, they've fit in really nicely. and they've understood. Mm.
So, I mean, looking at this season ahead, what would you sort of view as success? And I mean, it might not be won or losses, but I guess, you know, what, and it's probably a challenging question, but what do you see as a good season for the Stags in 2024?
I've thought about it. For me, it's more around our boys really enjoying their rugby. They're enjoying the way I want them to play the game. Just for me being a tech coach focusing on my space, it is literally them enjoying it, them excited about wanting to play the way I want them to play. That's success for me. I know everyone's like, no, it's all about win-loss, it's all about performance, but yeah, it's for my group, really, like for me around my coaching, I want to be a personal, approachable coach. I want to have a game plan that suits the way, well, my players' strengths. I want to suit the way that they want to play the game. So it's more of a collaboration of how we want to play, and I want them to be excited about it. That's success to me. Them turning up every week, being fizz for playing whoever we're playing that weekend. And results will come from that. I have no doubt results will come from that because they're enjoying themselves out there. I remember when I was successful in my time as a player, it was because I loved it. I loved playing. I loved turning up to training. I loved being in the environment. It was almost you didn't want to go home. You know what I mean? You just wanted to stay around the lads all day. So that's success for me. Yeah.
We might dig into some individuals. I want to talk about the captain. So Sean, you know, he externally seems to be a quiet, unassuming man. Tell me what he's like in the group and what he's brought from a leadership point of view and obviously from a playing perspective from what you've seen.
He's finding his way, which is understandable. He's still brand new in this environment. And that's, I think, how he wants to approach it. Very much still relying on senior players around him, around his leadership. But he is ramping up as we get along for sure. Says what he needs to say and what needs to be said, to be fair, at the right time. So he's getting a lot of buy-in from players around him, for everyone, to be fair, not just players but management as well, which is really cool. The senior players respect him straight away too, not only for what he's done, he's a Southland lad, but for what he's going to do for us. He's super pumped to be in a Southland jersey. I'm stoked for him to be back with us, and so should everyone in Southland.
And that's a key point I'd be interested in your take on. We've talked a lot, and a lot of people have talked about the message that his return has sent.
Yeah.
So tell me, from your perspective at the helm of the Stags, how important a signing like that and more the story behind it, I guess, is for going forward.
Yeah, I think it's huge. It was a big question mark that I asked when I first got back here, learning about the players that have left our province. And to be honest, those questions weren't answered. It was a little bit grey around why these players had to leave. I get it around the university situation, but now we have really good plans in place around still keeping them tied to our province and still giving them the opportunity that they need to be NPC players, to be professional rugby players. So we're in a great place now. So I think it's fantastic being able to provide an opportunity for Southlanders to play for Southland. It's a big tick in my box. Like, I am a Southlander, represented Southland, now representing as a coach for Southland. So yeah, it's huge being able to have local representation, especially in this competition. Yep.
You've got your director of rugby alongside you, of course, so you've got to say nice things. But I'm sure, there's real continuity there from a year-by-year point of view, right, for Panel going into that position. Tell us how smooth that sort of transition's been from a coaching team perspective.
Yeah, I think it's definitely helped having someone in that role that looks after the business side of things, when we can, as coaches, focus on getting these players better. He's now put those shoes or those boots on, I suppose, around being a coach now for this season, and that's new for all of us. As he just really oversaw us as coaches last season, but I think he's really excited about that opportunity to now be in the coaching team basically now. Put the director of rugby side away just for a little bit, but still very much looking after the players' point of view around that. But now, being a big part of our coaching team. I definitely see the benefits already from what we've done over the last few months. We're collaborating a lot more around how we can improve our game, improve our players, not just with Matt being involved now in the coaching group, but also Kane now on board fully, Daryl involved. So yeah, it's a busy office. It's a busy office. I actually treated them to some urban kitchen cakes today, just to sort of relax the group a bit, because we've been busy over the last few weeks and we're here, you know what I mean? So it's exciting. But yeah, let's take a break, enjoy what we've done the last few months, and yeah, get excited about the week.
Because I guess that's probably something we all don't see, is just how much work goes in. I mean, I mentioned before the season, but once the season starts, it must be pretty much non-stop. I mean, the players get the players' days off, but I'd imagine there's a fair bit of video for you guys and planning and that. From now till the end of the season, how full on is it?
Yeah, there's no days off. I get footage from, so we get, after a game day, which we had obviously on Friday, Regan Bennett sent us through the coding at 3 a.m. So it's literally, he's working right through just around individual player codes. He'll get codes from the opposition we're facing. Usually we get 3 games ahead, so we need to go through all that. That takes some time to go through each play, look at trends, find trends, look at potential opportunities for us. There's so much work that goes into it. It is literally 7 days. My wife just doesn't see me for the 3.5 months. But she understands that. It's a part and parcel of what we do. We try and find balance. It's quite tough to in a short, sharp season. There's like NPC, but yeah, for us to be better, that's what we have to do. Our players need that too. They want to have one-on-ones. We had great one-on-ones today. They want feedback. They want to improve. We need to show clips from training. We need to show potential opportunities in games. So they need to see all that stuff. So it's all great stuff. I love watching rugby, so it's quite lucky. I actually love watching rugby. Fortunate. Yeah.
We talked a bit about you as a player in past tense, but you made a comeback.
That's right.
This season, and I know we've talked about this before, but just talk us through what was behind that. You lined up for the Blues Senior B team. I think they called it development grade, but I watched the Blues Bluff final. I think Senior B is probably appropriate.
Most of the developing segment, isn't it?
Yeah, I think that needs to be renamed. Looking across the board, POB have quite a young group. Marist do as well, but yeah, the rest of the teams are pretty. Yeah, there's a few old heads still running around, including myself. For me personally, it's just an enjoyment factor of rugby. I take it seriously. It is a job, okay, when I'm a coach. And I really love playing. That's where I really enjoy. And I enjoy coaching. Like, it is a job though. So I wanted to put the boots back on and try and get that enjoyment factor back into the sport for me, and it did. It was a great group of guys, and it's a great club at Blues. A big part of it that gave it the tick was for me to do it was the 150th this year, and thoroughly enjoyed that weekend. Well, that 4 days, 4 months. They all sort of moulded into one. But no, it was great to reconnect with the club, because it is got me into the sport. I have all very good memories of being a part of Blues. So, and there's still a few old faces there, which is fantastic, and hopefully more return. Yeah, so I think we might have to change the name of that grade, because there's a few apparently after the 150th. There's a few more commitments for next season apparently. So, but we'll see what happens.
Boys keen to go again.
There is a few that keen to go again and want to be a part of it as well.
Yeah, how many beers deep with these people?
Yeah. Well, that might have been day 3 when that was all committed, but still, we'll see.
You never retire at the end of it. This is what Comics told me. You never retire at the end of a season. You always retire at the start of the next one.
Hey, talk to me. We've spoken a little bit, and you've talked about the development that from your perspective. Yep. Put that into, if you can, there's probably no black and white answer here, but how if you reflect on you 12 months ago in this role, what's been the difference, or what's been some of the key learnings, top of the list, for you from a coaching point of view over these last 12 months?
The biggest one, I reflect on this a few weeks back actually. The biggest one for me was simplifying, like keep it simple. That is literally the most important thing, I think, as a coach. If we overcomplicate things, then it becomes confusing, obviously, but then you sort of get a few frustrations that come into your game. And rugby is a simple game. It really is. We don't need to overcomplicate. You think back to the way it was played a number of years ago, where backs needed to know everything and forwards just needed to be tough, carrying, clean out. It's the complete opposite these days. The amount of information that forwards need to know: line-outs, line-out defence, maul defence, scrum. Like, it's unbelievable. And then I need to show them how to attack in our general shape. It's unbelievable. So yeah, it's a complete opposite. So if I can simplify it in any way possible, I will. I will make it so simple. I will keep our attack menu, as simple as possible, just so the game's enjoyable. Like, don't take away the enjoyment. Keep it really easy. Let's play a game that's our brand. That's Southland rugby. Yeah.
Because how important is that in particular when it's such a sprint of a 10-week-ish sort of season? Once you've sort of set a path, there's not a lot of time to turn the ship around, is there?
No. Tweaks. We tweak ever so slightly around little things, but we need to find them really quickly. It's watching a lot of rugby, making sure we're really detailed around what we do, but then we give them a simple option to make it easier or make it better. But yeah, it's just little tweaks. That's all you can do. Like you said, it's a sprint, and it's all about momentum from week one. So you get a good start. She makes life a lot easier in NPC.
The other thing with a 10-week competition is that if a guy gets a small niggle, they could almost miss half the season the way it is. And I guess you plan for everything around your rostering and whatnot. But that's just, every team will go through that, isn't it? But it's such a short competition that small injuries can actually be quite lengthy.
Yeah, there's a bit of, in the management, there's a bit of fingers and toes are all crossed. Especially in key positions, and those key positions are game drivers. Hugely important that you have connection, and those guys stay connected throughout the season, because it just makes life so much easier when you've got guys in those positions that are always there, familiar faces, driving the ship. The expectations are the same throughout. Everyone understands each other a lot easier when you're playing a lot more rugby together. So yeah, fingers and toes, keep them crossed, please.
It's sort of been working for you too, I guess, the crossed fingers and toes. Things haven't been, touch wood. And I guess the other...
Don't curse me, please.
Yeah, no, sorry. I feel bad saying it already. But I guess one of the outcomes of that is that there's good competition for those starting spots or spots even in the 23.
Yep. There was some tough conversations we had today in our one-on-ones. Obviously, we named the team early in the week, and the opportunity to have those conversations were today. And there were some really hard ones, but that's the reality of sport. We've chosen the best group of players that are going to represent our province for this season, hands down. Like, those guys locally that we've selected are the best that we have in this province, that will do the best for us, that we need them to do the best for us this week, this season. So yeah, it's tough, but competition is good. It makes you better. So that's just how it is, and players are starting to understand that. I know a number of years ago there probably wasn't all that much competition and guys were comfortable. And when you're comfortable, you don't get results. It's just as simple as that. We're in a high-performance sport. So, yeah, it's great having the competition, but it's also quite tough because guys will be disappointed every week.
So there's a little bit of a catch-22 with that too, from a high-performance point of view, right? Because you are under no illusions. You're in a win-loss business. Yep. You're trying to build something with some legacy. Yep. That's obviously got some tenure to it for down the track. How do you balance those two things from a coaching and from a general program point of view?
It is really hard, but it starts from clarity at the top. What are we? Okay, and then it obviously works down. So yeah, there's been some interesting conversations. Obviously now we have a new leader in our group at Rugby Southland with Tamariki on board, and he's provided that clarity for us, definitely in the high performance space, which is fantastic, because it wasn't always there, to be honest. So yeah, it's great to have that.
Well, you can just get caught in trying to serve both masters, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And it's not always great. You need that clarity. We do in high performance, definitely, and then we can plan our program off that. So yeah, I think we're in a good space now. And we'll definitely see how that goes. But we've got a group together that we definitely think that are better than last year. Okay, they're going to definitely perform a lot better consistently this year. And just happens, they're great characters, great men, so that helps too.
Good
I
stuff,
hope
mate.
that provides some clarity.
You like it?
A little bit great.
It's great, isn't it? So tell me, in honest moments here, you may not give this to us because we're 3 days out from, or 4 days out from kick-off. Are you happy to get Otago first up, or would you prefer to work into the season and then have a good crack at them? Which is their? I suppose we'll find out at about 4 o'clock on Saturday with the answer, right? Yeah.
No, I think it's fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It gives you a flying start at it, right?
Yeah, and also not just for us as a group, but also just for Southland.
Yeah.
Like the amount of chat that's going on around town has been great. Everyone's fizzed for it, and that's what we want. That's what we want to hear. That's what we want to see. So it's exciting. Yeah.
I think even more than that, and I think Sav's written about this before. Like it's great for the team, it's great for the province, but it's great for the competition because this is one of the games of the NPC, and to have it first up. I mean, I think the NPC's probably struggled with Olympics, All Blacks being named this week. It's probably struggled for a bit of oxygen, but this is the game that the competition needs.
Oh, absolutely. And I think what I wrote there is that everyone seems to do their best to talk the competition down, but there is actually some shining lights in the competition if you have a look at it, and this is one of them this weekend. So I think it's great to roll it out first up.
It should be, yeah. It should be just promoted everywhere across the country. This is everyone knows. Even I'm getting messages from all over New Zealand. Some guys from overseas, obviously, the guys I did some PD time with, they're all like fizz for it. Biggest game of the year is game one.
It's awesome.
How good.
How does it look between now? We're sitting down here Wednesday afternoon chatting. What does it look like now between now and kick off on Saturday afternoon?
Yeah, we'll get together tomorrow morning. We'll connect first thing. We start off we feed our men first thing in the morning every morning, so it's a great way for us to connect over some beans on toast, which is great. So yeah, we'll start in the morning, connect, sort of touch on a bit of what we did yesterday at training, just fine tune little tweaks that we need to get across our detail, and then we'll get into a training session, a very much game-like situation tomorrow morning on the training field, and then that's us. Then the next day we'll come together, connect, sort of semi-captain's run. We used to be called a captain's run, it's not anymore. It's just for us to connect, sign off on what we need to sign off on. They'll get some lunch in at our fine sponsor, Spates Ale House, and then we're into Saturday.
What should I call the captain's run now?
Well, actually, it's a tough one because I actually call it 200 touches. It's about getting hands on, hand-eye, getting touches on the ball, just little things, just a way of connecting. We sort of started off in individual positions, having some fun with it, around juggling and all those sorts of things. It's so different these days. Then into a mini unit. What mini unit needs to connect with what? Insides and outsides, or front row might need to do some work with the second row. So it's all very different these days. They'll then finish off with a unit session, so some lineouts might need to get done. Maybe some connection around scrum as a forward pack. Backs will look at signing off a few strikes, and then they may need to walk through some as a team. But that is it. Our load around pre-game was just too big over the last few years.
Right.
Guys were basically running a game day load before a game.
Day before.
Yeah, so it was very much just how do we lighten that? But yet still, what do they need? Okay, so yeah, anything they need to sign off on is very much the day before a game. But it is very relaxed, and it's all about enjoyment. So yeah. And
then Saturday is at what do the team come together, or do they leave that till late? Or?
Yeah, we'll look to probably there's a primer session in the morning, so those boys get into that want to. It's purely optional around getting some fizz in the gym just to get the muscles going in the morning, and then we'll look to meet at the ground and get into our work.
Does the coach throw a bit of tin around? What do you?
Some coaches will like to relieve a bit of stress, probably at that time. Yes. Yeah, there's a little bit of a what bike challenge going on, 10Ks.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Our trainer's actually leading the front. We had our UNO.
That's non-negotiable.
Yeah. We had our Japanese defence coach come over, UNO. He's got into it yesterday, first time. He didn't walk for about half an hour. Yeah, his little legs were struggling. But no, Kane's...
Actually, as far as coaching staffs go, you're probably not in bad nick, your group, are you?
Yeah, it is good, and it's a really good dynamic. Obviously, we all used to play with each other, and then obviously DT coached us.
Yeah.
So there's that connection there. And having UNO over, it's great because we obviously met first time when we went to Japan. And he's got some great experience. He played hooker a lot for Toyota, and he's in Steve's coaching group, and Steve rates him highly. He's done a few presentations. Boys love him. Oh, he's been fantastic. Yeah, it's going to be sad to see the Japanese boys leave, and they'll be leaving in a few weeks, but they've been great. Yeah, it's been a really good relationship, and hopefully something that we can continue.
Absolutely. You're sort of skirting around where you're sitting in this What Bike Challenge.
Yeah, I'm sort of like pushing it away, holding off on actually doing it at all. I did a little spin yesterday. I did a 5K, and I was like, that's enough for me. I've done too many What Bike Challenges. I've actually got one at home, and it's collecting a lot of dust.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't need to.
They are
be doing
good
that.
clothes horses, is what
They
I
are.
found. Yeah, they do a real good job.
Yeah.
Righto, last question. You take us in the sheds. It's 5-2 or 7-2 or whatever time you give the team. What are the final words?
There's going to be a lot of energy
Yeah.
at that time, especially after doing our warm-up, our final prep, and they'll be in their sheds pretty fizzed. So I sort of want to get them down to a level where it's a bit of calmness. Obviously, sadly, we lost Kevin, so there's going to be a minute silence prior to the game. So there's a bit of time to sort of get that level down. Like I said, there's going to be enough fizz. It's week 1 against Otago on a Saturday afternoon. So it's going to be so much energy in that we don't need to keep ramping it up, especially with, a bit going on before the game. So, yeah, I'd like it to just be calm. And that's me personally. I'm just that kind of person too. So, yeah, calmness is great. I don't know about in-game in that box, though. That's a different story.
Keep the windows closed. That's the key, yeah.
We've got a new box now this year, so they've touched up Rugby Park.
Soundproofed it.
Just a little bit. Yeah, I hope they've soundproofed it. It was loud last year, that's for sure.
There's a bit of banging going on next door.
Yeah.
Are you still next to the media box? I
No,
didn't know whether
so-
that was the best idea, to be
So
fair.
now they've got a sort of a new corporate box sort of in the middle where the old
right.
team
Yeah, we're
boxes
trying to work
will-
out where
were.
we're going to sit anyway. But we'll
Yeah,
find
so I
a
think we're
spot.
far right. I think that was where the
I
away
see.
group were.
Oh, yeah, right.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
we're in there now. They've tucked us away in there.
New era.
Happy days. Good on you, mate. Cannot wait. Thanks for coming in and
not at
spending
all.
some time
Yeah, really
during the week.
appreciate it.
Let's get stuck in, eh?
Yeah, for sure. Cheers for having me on.
Absolutely.
Appreciate it.